So I think I'm just going to introduce our headliner. Take your expectations and just bring them up here. Christmas, you're fine.
Christmas!
Your dad's back from getting cigarettes, and it's just magic is in the air. It's the best day of your life. Chris, what you not know? Sorry, that's such a thing. Sorry.
So, anybody ever get so high they signed up for a comedy show? I sure have, let me tell you. So they say Swarthmore is like a time and a place where you're supposed to learn new things about yourself. Today I learned a lot about what it's like to travel behind people in Sharples who are whistling and whistle the same thing that they're whistling. It actually freaks them out a lot. I recommend you try it. I also learned a lot about what it's like to go to Sharples when you're really stoned. The waffle bar becomes a lot more like a quest. It's like you gotta navigate through the ice cream, and then you gotta go through the toppings, and then right when you're at the end, you realize, oh no, I left behind a perfectly usable waffle square in the iron. It's burning. I gotta go back. When I was in high school, a lot of my friends were like stoners. That means that I have a lot of friends who are now yoga teachers. This is a 100% true story. I went back home for winter break a couple months ago, and I ran into one of my old friends who decided to forego college and pursue his lifelong dream of being a Reiki master and yoga teacher. And you know, it's good for him to do his following his dream and stuff. I'm definitely not following my dreams. I'm an engineering major. I say, hey, well, let's call him Jacob, because his name's Jacob. So I say, hey, Jacob, what's up? And he says, dude, I just became a Dao Flow master. And I said, wow, Jacob, that sounds really cool. And it sounded cool until he told me that it was his new career path. So he said, hey, you know, I'm a certified master, but I'm not a certified teacher yet. Can I teach you? And then you sign a form saying that you learned Dao Flow from me, and like I can become a certified Dao Flow teacher. And I said, you know, I don't know how I got into this situation. I said I'd do it, and so I spent some time looking up Dao Flow online. Found out it was invented like 5 years ago to help like pregnant women like deliver safe like babies. So I figured it's just some new form of like cultural appropriation of like Taoism, which is where Tao comes from. I don't know if there's any Taoists in the audience, but I'm sorry. I didn't come up with it. If there's any white people in the audience who are offended, I'm sorry. Get it? Because like it's not really. That was a complex joke. I didn't even understand it fully. So I show up at his living room. He's about to teach me Dao Flow. So he asked that I remove my jeans because he can't do Dao Flow with jeans. So we both stand there in his living room in our underwear. Just for reference, this guy kind of looks like Joaquin Phoenix. Just imagine me and like a slightly slightly chubby Joaquin Phoenix, and we're both in our underwear. We're about to participate in some sort of exercises invented to help pregnant women. So, you know, he gets me started with like the breathing exercises, you know, the standard like yoga stuff, you know, stuff that I was used to. Because I have a lot of other friends who are yoga teachers. That's what I think I meant. Anyway, so I'm used to it. I'm sort of accustomed to this kind of process. Some things that are new though. He starts to throw in some things that sort of reminded me of like what I learned on the internet about what this is for. So we're in this position where we're like squatting a little bit, and he says, "Feel the life force coming from my And I thought, oh my God, this is what it's turning into now. I'm gonna like spiritually deliver a baby right now. And so it was a rough 30 minutes, but we got through it, and I didn't really feel really enlightened or ready to give birth. But so I having done yoga with other yoga friends, I'm very familiar with certain poses. So I'm really good at one pose. It's called the corpse pose, and I can demonstrate that for you if you'd like.
Yeah!
All right, I need a little space here. I think I'm good. All right, you ready? So at the end of this session of Tao Flow, I figured now is like the perfect opportunity to show off my finest form. I'm really skilled at, so I get to the corpse pose. And my friend, Jacob / Joaquin Phoenix, jumps up and he says, "Chris, what are you doing?" I said, "I just got to corpse pose, my favorite pose. And he said, "No, you gotta bring up your knees or else the chi's gonna flow out of your body." I said, "Holy shit, Jacob, I'm sorry, I cheat all over your living room." Do you want me to get a mop? He said, "No, it's too late." So maybe I'm not sophisticated enough to really understand the nuances of like newly invented semi-Eastern philosophical practices and shit. I don't know. It's not really anything. Never mind. Anyway, so maybe I'm not sophisticated enough to really understand Tao Flow and how it works. There's a lot of other stuff in our society that like sometimes I feel like I'm just a little too trashy to appreciate. I don't know why you guys are laughing. But so a couple weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go to a magical place called Whole Foods. And this is the first and last time I've ever been to Whole Foods. And I can tell by the fact that none of you are laughing and with the eager looks of anticipation on some of your faces that you kind of like Whole Foods. So I'm sorry, I don't want to step on anybody's toes or anything like that. But I went to Whole Foods, and I was kind of, amused at or pleasantly surprised, let's say, at how they put this emphasis on local, fresh, organic bullshit, right? And they have these pictures of hipsters that are holding avocados, and standing on a farm. I farmed this fucking avocado. It's like Kansas behind me, but somehow there's an avocado here. I don't know what that's about. So it's cool, it's to focus on local, stuff like that. But then you turn around the next aisle, and I swear to God, this is what I saw when I was there. There was an aisle full of artisanal salts that came from around the world. Now to me, something that comes from the other side of the world, I would imagine it had to be shipped here in some capacity, probably on a plane or a large boat or something. And to me, the other word, right, artisanal. To me, artisanal means it's been crafted by an artisan. What the hell else could it mean? So when I saw the artisanal Himalayan salt, the only thing that was going through my head was just some hipster dude who looks like he's just been ripped out of a Vice documentary, just flying to the Himalayas and traveling up this mountain to in Tibet and just coming across this small village of little Tibetan people, I don't know, and like going up to them and saying like, "Give me your children's tears. I must extract the salt. I need to bring the salt back to my homeland so hipsters can put it on their seitan chimichurri." So like, as I'm sitting there in the Whole Foods, I'm staring at the aisle, you know, staring at the salts. I'm like, I should really make some seitan chimichurri. But I didn't do that. I forewent the Himalayan salts. Where was I going with this? So if you think I'm like not classy when it comes to food, just know that like I do have some standards. So like I have some different opinions when it comes to fast food. Like for example, when I came to Swarthmore, I learned that there are people on this campus who come from a variety of like backgrounds and stuff, and there are people who do enjoy Checkers, which like I don't know if you've ever been at Checkers. I hope you haven't. It's this place. It looks. Has anybody been at Checkers? All right. Well, can I ask where you guys are from?
New York. Connecticut.
New York and Connecticut. All right. So I'm from Jersey, right? So it's like the same geographic area. I believe it's called like a tri-state area. Yeah. So like Checkers. It kind of looks like an oil change place, like a place where you get your car's oil changed. But because like they have like these like Checkers literally on it, and there's like a little garage section. I don't know why. So anyway, you ever have that friend that like they're like not your friend, but like whether you like it or not, you're their friend. And so like they're always down to hang out, and they're like, let's be buds, You're like, oh no, get out of here. And if you don't have that friend, you might be that friend. So if so, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be an asshole a little bit right now. So anyway, I went back home. I was in a band geek. I was an extreme band geek in high school. I was in like the concert choir, the jazz choir, the a cappella choir, the boys choir, the men's choir, the women's choir. I was in every sort of marching band, jazz band, symphonic band, wind ensemble. Because like all there was to do in my school was music. For some reason, I actually didn't take physics until like after freshman year here. So like there just wasn't there. Anyway, it was a weird school. I don't know why I'm going on this tangent. This is probably an interior monologue that's like, coming to fruition in front of you all. I should reserve this and think about it later, I guess. Anyway, so a little existential. Sorry. So I was back home, right? And one of my old friends from like choir sees me. And he's like, "Hey, Chris, buddy, so good to see you. What are you doing? What are you doing in town?" I said, "Oh, hey, Tim." Let's call him Tim. He's Tim. I said, I'm just here visiting, for some holiday probably. I don't know what I was doing there. He said, "Oh, what are you doing tonight?" And I was kind of like in this haze because I was so surprised to see him, and I really was so disappointed just to the core of my being. I couldn't think of anything to say, like anything like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the library and look up spelunking techniques in encyclopedia," or I'm gonna go just like sit in my underwear and eat Doritos and watch Rugrats. So, that's like two great things I could have said, but instead I said the third thing, which is what I actually said. I said nothing. And so he said, "Well, you know what? We should go get some dinner." And it was like 4 o'clock, so I had no excuse. So in my mind, I guess I kind of wasn't in this right state of mind at the time. So I was like, well, what can I do to get out of this? I thought maybe I could just suggest the worst restaurant imaginable. So I'm like, maybe he'll just be deterred. And then he'll just go his own way, and I have to have dinner with him. So just the first thing out of my mouth, I guess, and my mind, was, "Tim, let's let's go to Checkers. And I got this in the bag, creative solution, problem solved. Well, to my astonishment, actually not astonishment, because this is exactly the type of person who would say it. She says, oh, I love Checkers. I've been there ages. And I was like, holy shit, I'm going to Checkers. So we get in my car, and we're driving, he puts some music on the radio, it's probably Pearl Jam or some shit. I'm sorry if you like Pearl Jam. It's a fine band. It's the kind of music he listens to. So then we get to Checkers, and I'm like mentally preparing myself to just like eat these little tiny hamburgers and wax paper or some bullshit. And I realized that on the menu they got a broad array of milkshakes for purchase. And so I'm like, maybe this won't be so bad. Maybe I'll just get a milkshake and some French fries, and that'll be that. Just move on with my night. And so I ordered something that's called a banana milkshake. Tim says, oh, Chris, you're going to love the banana milkshakes. I thought, all right, Tim, I'll take your word for it. So I ordered the milkshake, and then we bring it back to Tim's house, which was also fun. And I take a sip of the milkshake, and you know how they say that like certain scents and smells can like jog your memory? So like instantly I was transported back to like me being yay high and like in a doctor's office, like in a waiting room, playing with like the scratch and sniff stickers that come in those Discovery Kids magazines. And I realized that the milkshake smelled exactly like a banana scratch and sniff sticker. And I just couldn't eat it, and I just set it aside, and I just sat there in Tim Carroll's house, and he said, what's the matter, Chris? You're not hungry? I said, this milkshake has grossed me out a little bit, to be honest. Anyway, so my friends told me that I shouldn't tell this story because it doesn't go anywhere. And I countered with the fact that it goes to just the worst place, which was Checkers.